Erev Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. We are continuing with our Mishna Yomi Masechet Sotah. We are up to Perek Bet Mishna Aleph. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'elui Nishmat Neria ben Svetlana Ranbayev Eliyahu ben Burcha Israelov Chana bat Miriam Sason ben Raya and Yoshua ben Shifra Menuchatam began Eden Amen and Avdi ben Chaim lechaim v'derefua shelemav Daniel Shalom ben Rosa betoch shar cholei Israel. After discussing the principle of measure for measure at the end of the previous chapter, the Mishnah returns to its description of the Sotah's procedure. As part of the procedure, the Torah obligates the husband of the Sotah to bring a mincha offering to the temple. This mincha is called the minchat kenaot. Now, a mincha is an offering whose main ingredient is flour. In most cases, the flour is mixed with oil and cooked or baked in various ways. However, the minchat kenaot of the Sotah contains nothing but raw barley flour. The standard way of offering a mincha is that a Kohen scoops out part of it with his hand and burns that part on the altar. The removed part is called the kometz, and the process of scooping it out is called kemitzah. The rest of the mincha is given to the Kohanim to eat. The Mishnah begins, Hayam mevit minchatah betoch kfifa mitzrit. Her husband brings her mincha offering in a basket made of palm fiber. This is the soft fiber that grows around the palm tree. V'notnah al yadeh kedei leyage'ah. And he places it on her hands in order to tie her out so that she might admit her guilt. The burden of holding the mincha is intended to press her into confessing her guilt and thereby avoid the need to erase God's name. The Mishnah lists ways in which the minchat kenaot differs from other mincha offerings. Kol amenachot tchilatan v'sofan b'chli sharet. All other mincha offerings are held in a service vessel at their beginning when the owner brings them from his house to the temple, and at their end when they are offered. Now, a kli sharet, a service vessel, is a sacred vessel that is used in the sacrificial service in the temple. In certain circumstances, it sanctifies what is placed into it. All mincha offerings must be sanctified in a service vessel before they can be offered, as the Mishnah says in chapter 3, Mishnah 6. Now again, the Mishnah said that all other mincha offerings are held in a service vessel at their beginning when the owner brings them from his house to the temple, and at their end when they are offered. The commentaries explain that the owner of mincha does not bring it to the temple in a service vessel. The Mishnah means that he brings it in something that is fit to be used as a service vessel. For example, a basket of gold or silver. After the mincha is brought into the temple courtyard, it is transferred into a consecrated service vessel, as Rashi explains on page 14b in Masechet Sotah. But this minchat kenaot is held in a basket of palm fiber. A basket of palm fiber is not even fit to be used as a service vessel. A basket of such low quality is not used even in the service of a human king, and certainly not in the service of the King of Kings. So again, the minchat kenaot is held in a basket of palm fiber in its beginning, when the owner brings it from his house to the temple courtyard, and in a service vessel at its end, when it is offered. It is not put into a service vessel until after it has been brought into the courtyard, and it is about to be offered. The minchat kenaot remained in the basket of palm fiber until it had to be sanctified by being put in a service vessel in preparation for its sacrificial service. And in chapter 3, Mishnah 2, the Mishnah discusses when its sacrificial service takes place. All other mincha offerings require oil and levona. In the case of other mincha offerings, oil is mixed into the flour, and then levona, a particular type of spice, is added on top, as says in Vayikra chapter 2, verse 1. But this mincha offering does not require oil and levona. In fact, the Torah forbids the husband to add oil levona to the mincha kenaot, as it says in Bamidbar chapter 5, verse 15. All other mincha offerings come from wheat, but this mincha offering comes from barley. An exception to the last rule is the mincha offering known as the omer, which is also made of barley flour. Nevertheless, its flour is not the same as the flour of the minchat kenaot. Now, just to go back on the point that we said that all other mincha offerings require oil and levona, but the minchat kenaot does not require oil and levona. Even though the Mishnah says all other mincha offerings require oil and levona, this rule does not include the sinner's mincha brought for the atonement of certain sins, which also may not contain oil. Levona says in Vayikra chapter 5, verse 11. The Mishnah's point is that all other mincha offerings have some positive quality, and if they lack oil and levona, they make up for it in some other way. But continuing in the Mishnah, minchat ha'omer, the mincha offering of the omer, afal pi sheba min ha'seorin, even though it comes from barley, hi ata ba geres differs from the Minchat Kinaot in that it comes as a finely ground and sifted flour. For the Omer offering, barley grains are ground into flour and sifted 13 times until the finest flour emerges. V'zu ba kemach, whereas the Minchat Kinaot comes as a coarse meal. The flour of the Minchat Kinaot is not sifted at all. It includes all the bran and chaff present after the grinding of the barley grains. Now, most Mincha offerings have three positive characteristics. A, they contain oil and levona. B, they are made of wheat. And C, their flour is fine. Two Mincha offerings have two of these characteristics. The sinner's Mincha, although lacking oil and levona, is made of wheat and its flour is fine. The Omer offering, although made of barley rather than wheat, contains oil and levona and its flour is fine. The Minchat Kinaot, by contrast, has none of these qualities. It does not contain oil and levona, it is not made of wheat, and its flour is coarse. Rabban Gamliel explains why the Sotah's Mincha is made of coarse barley flour. Rabban Gamliel says, just as her indecent behavior was like the behavior of animals, by making herself available to a man who was not her husband, she acted like an animal which does not attach itself to just one mate. So too her offering is the food of animals. And that is the end of Mishnah Aleph. The next step is the preparation of the bitter water. Mishnah Bet. Hayam mevi piyali shel cheres chadasha. A Kohen brings a new earthenware cup that has never been used. It says in the Gemara on page 15b, Masechet Sotah. V'noten letocha chatzi log mayim min hakiyor, and puts half a log of water into it from the kiyor. The kiyor is a large copper bowl located in the temple courtyard that contains water. The Kohanim use its water to wash their hands and feet before doing the temple service. The Torah calls the bitter water mayim kiddushim, holy water, in Bamidbar chapter 5 verse 17, which means that it must have been sanctified by being placed in a service vessel. Therefore, water from the kiyor, which is a service vessel, is used for this purpose. Atana disagrees about the amount of water. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Revi'it. Rabbi Yehuda says that only a quarter of a log is required. Kishem shemimaet bachtav, kach mimaet b'mayim. Just as Rabbi Yehuda reduces the amount of writing on the Sotah's scroll, as stated in the next Mishnah, so does he reduce the amount of the water. The next Mishnah cites three opinions as to how much of the Sotah's oath in cursive written on the scroll and then erased in the water. Of all the opinions, Rabbi Yehuda requires the least amount of writing. Since he requires the least amount of ink that will be erased in the water, he requires the least amount of water. And the Rav does tell us, Ven Rabbi Yehuda, the Halakha does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. The Mishnah goes back to describing the procedure. Nichnas la'echal ufana limino. After putting the water into the cup, the Kohen entered the sanctuary with the cup in his hand and turned to his right. Umakom hayasham amah lama. There was a place on the floor of the sanctuary that was 1 amah by 1 amah wide. This area looked different from the rest of the floor. V'tavla shel shaish v'taba'at hayta kvua bah, and was covered by a marble tile to which a ring was attached. The entire floor was covered with marble tiles. The ring was used to lift this particular tile from between the others. When he lifts the tile, when he lifts the tile, he takes some earth from the ground beneath it, and he places enough of that earth in the cup so that it can be seen on the surface of the water. It says in Bamidbar, chapter 5, verse 17, and from the earth that will be on the floor of the Mishkan, the Kohen shall take and add to the water. The verse states that the earth is added to the water, not in the water. This teaches that enough earth must be added so that some is visible on the water's surface and does not sink. And that is the Nabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Everybody should have a Erev Shabbat Shalom. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.